here. Join me. We can sit here for a little chat. And if you have questions, of course, I can't really see, but we have someone who will run and give a mic when it's time for that. But for now, Carlos, tell us a little bit about your experience with creating this film. How was that, especially as a Filipino, such a historical film? What was that like for you?
Okay, first of all, thank you very much. I lost my voice, so I'll try to be as clear as possible with how I speak. I'll project, but it's my allergies have been terrible. And it's Carlo, not Carlos. Yeah, it's Carlo. I wish I was Carlos Mendoza, so I could be Mexican. My favorite cinematographers and filmmakers are actually Mexican, so there was a time that I wished I was Mexican. Okay, so we shot this film in 17 days. Just 17 days in 2023 from February to March, and then from LA I had to go home in April for the battle scenes. I had to go back for that for a day to shoot. So just 17 days from the very beginning. Jescom, our producers, the Jesuits, they said they only had a budget of I don't know how much for 15 days. And then my director and I were like, no, it's not enough. So they said, okay, we can give you an extra 2 days. And okay, 2 days, that's already a lot. So I thought about it. I mean, I felt, it's a very important film not to be part of. It's a prestige film. It's a film about our history, our people, our heroes. So, we were like, okay, let's take on the challenge. But we just had to be smart about it, the entire team. So we started, I remember I just finished a movie called 10 Little Mistresses, which is on Prime. If you can watch it as a comedy, it's completely different from this film. I shot that in the Philippines until October 2022, and then I went back to LA. And then I think by November, first week of November, we were already having our creative meetings via Zoom. It was initially just me and my director, and then everyone wanted to be part of it, which was great. So every week we would talk about a portion of the script, just discuss it in detail. And everyone would chime in, talk about what the story is about, what each scene is about, what the characters were going through. So it was a great collaboration with everyone. It was like 4 or 5 weeks. We scheduled it initially for just 3. I was like, oh no, it's not gonna finish. I mean, it's such a lengthy script that there were so many things, so many details to talk about. So it took us 5. We had extra 2, 3 weeks, I think. So we had those creative meetings, and then after that, Pepe rewrote the script, and then the script that he rewrote was the shooting script that we had. And then I went back to the Philippines, started the locations, the scouting, the physical prep. So, yeah, but this film was supposed to be shot in 2020, June 2020, I think, or right about, pandemic. So, which was great. I mean, the pandemic wasn't great, but it was great that it was delayed because, we all went through different things, and, gave us a different way of looking at life. And eventually, I'm sure it came out in what you guys saw today. Yeah.
Carlo. Sorry, and thank you. Thank you for correcting me. I am shocked. That was 17 days. There was so much in that film and so much intricate details that you shot there. I'm curious for you. You talked a little bit about working with a director for the vision of this film, and I'm wondering, what were some of the elements for you that were really important to define the aesthetic of this film, and how did you work with a director to kind of create that? So there's a lot of aspiring filmmakers here today, so I'm sure they want to hear about that process as well.
So I believe that a movie is done in prep. I'm a big fan of prep. I insist on prep. I insist on spending a lot of time with my director. I've had comments from my producer saying that I'm expensive in a way that I have requirements that are expensive, but these requirements are prep requirements so that on set, there's no more. So that on set, when they say we only have 17 days, okay, you're giving us 17 days, but I need this to prep so that we can do it in 17 days. So I would be honest with the producers that if this is what you want, this is what I need to be able to do my job. Because it's a partnership between production and the creatives, so for us to be able to deliver something, we all have to come to a compromise. They can't just say, this is the budget, do it. But if this is what you want, this is what we need to be able to do our job. So I am very vocal about my department, and also our production designer, Pepe, also our director is very vocal about what we need. And Jessica was very, 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 very great in working with us because, okay, so what can we do? What can you do? And so we came up with this. So working with Pepe and I did a film called Above the Clouds way back 2012, 2013 with Pepe Smith and Ruru Madrid. That was our first feature together, and then after that we became very good friends. So we have a very good shorthand already. But this film was his comeback. In 2016, he concentrated on doing advertising. And then I left for LA to take my master's in LA. So he was like, oh, you're leaving? I've been putting in my bids. Let's do some commercials and make money first. And I go, well, I need to study because I feel like there's something lacking in me. So I left, and then he finally decided that he wanted to do a movie, and this was the film. And I was so grateful that he chose me among all the other cinematographers, very talented cinematographers. Some of them are my friends and peers, but he still chose me to work with him on his comeback movie. So we spent a lot of time, a lot of talking, a lot of dates, Even before I left for LA after shooting 10 Little Mistresses, I wanted to talk to him and just, okay, what's the vision for this film? And why this film? You haven't done a movie in 6-7 years. Why did you choose this film? And Pepe is the grandson of Jose Diokno, the lawyer, and also he's the son of Chel Diokno, who ran for the Senate last year. So he comes from a political family, and so I go, okay, well, it kind of makes sense. He's a Diokno, to do this film. And then we spent a lot of time talking, breaking down the script, and then I would always take note of things that he would say, important things about what his vision for the film is and what the story beats and emotional beats that he wants. First of all, he wants to stress the Los Filipinos. He said that this story is created the term Los Filipinos. There was no term Filipinos before. We were simply not Spaniards. So it was through Pelaez. It was through Pelaez who coined that term, that ideology of Los Filipinos. So that was important for him. And it was also important for him to show the mentor-mentee relationship of Pelaez and Burgos, because through that relationship, Burgos became a mentor to Pasiano, and Pasiano is the brother of Jose Rizal. So it's kind of like, Pasiano is the brother, that kid there, the kid is the brother of Jose Rizal. He just took the mom's maiden name. So they're brothers. So if Burgos didn't have a mentor like Pelaez, he wouldn't have passed on that Los Filipinos ideology to Pasiano, and Pasiano may not have influenced his brother, and Jose Rizal may not have written No Limitangin and El Filibusterismo. So it was very important. Pelaez is barely written in history. I don't even remember him. Yeah, exactly. So it was important, that mentor-mentee relationship. So I would always take note of these things, and also how the Filipinos, they all wanted to, they kept on saying in the beginning that we're Spaniards. They never mentioned who that they're Filipinos. So it's a journey of the Filipino who first felt that they were Spaniards, eventually embracing who they really are as Filipinos. And it's something very important for us as well, because we believe that it's in the Philippines. I think it's even more. It's worse in the Philippines. I grew up not caring about being Filipino. I always had a colonial mentality that, someday I'm gonna move to New York. I'm gonna move to New York after college. I always wanted to get out. There was no pride in being Filipino. And that's how the Filipinos were before. And I think a lot of Filipinos as well now are also like that. And so we wanted to give that message that hopefully after watching the movie you will be proud to say that I am Filipino. So it was a journey of, thank you.
Yes.
It was a journey of, so these things, like Pepper would say, this is blah, 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 and I would think about visual ways of how to do that. And one of the ways was, if you look at the film, they started in like darkness, their faces weren't lit much, and then slowly light was, you see their faces more, and I was putting in more light was coming in more. And then towards the end, they were sort of being brought back to the darkness, but hopefully the audience would somehow, how it affects us Filipinos would bring back the light. So we talk about, even in the marketing of MQuest, they focused on the alab, the ignition of the fire inside the hearts of the people, and we wanted that. So it's a lot of these things that Pepe wanted to. I'm like, okay, how do I visually represent this? And the contrast between the Spaniards and the Filipinos, and I would light them with just candlelight and moonlight. So it's like dark, warm and cold. It was just very simple things, I had to be smart about a lot of things because of the budget that we had. We had to be creative. Even the execution scene was very difficult to shoot because we only had a day to shoot that and everything that had to happen there. So I'm talking too much.